Alexander Tendor has a quote that says, "The best teachers tell us where to look, but they don't tell us what to see." I want to be real clear going into this video that this isn't a poor me, woe is me kind of video. It's more to start a conversation or to highlight the fact that I think we need more teachers in the world. The other reason I'm doing this video is I need to test out a new piece of audio equipment. I am using 3 different methods to record this audio. One is being the microphone that's on the top of the camera that's on there now. I've used it in a lot of videos up until I think 2 videos ago. It's the only thing I've ever used. The next one I'm going to be using is the wireless microphone that I think I used in 2 videos ago. And I think that audio was fine. And then the third one is a new boomed microphone I have that hopefully I'm going to be using on some upcoming projects that I've never used before. So I want to hear the difference. And then I've also obviously never done a video. We're hearing those 3 audio sources back to back like they're going to be in this one. I'm not going to stop the video, more than I already have, by telling you which one I'm having. I'm going to be doing them in that order: the one on top of the camera, the wireless lavalier microphone, which you'll probably be able to see, and then the boom microphone. One of the things I am going to be doing is changing the color of my newly modified light box, and if you're curious at all, I've done a video on that. Basically, I've put in Philips Hue light bulbs in a light box so I could change that to one of thousands of colors. So I'm going to be changing the color when I change microphones. I'm leaving the rest of everything in here relatively simple, or relatively the same, and simple. So there's no difference in, was I farther away, was the room different, was location different. So all those audio sources are going to be out there. If you're curious at all after this is done, obviously let me know and I'll let you know specifically which microphones I was using. So trying to go back to my point, and I say trying to go back to my point because I've started this video and stopped this video probably 6, 7, 8 times now, and I've made notes before, and I usually don't do that. And I'm realizing that the thought is growing and going off on tangents, which is not surprising for my head as I talk about it. One of the things I was originally struggling with, or one of the things that stopped me in a previous version of this video, is whose responsibility is it to show you the examples I'm going to be talking about? And I'm not sure. But one thing has occurred to me as I've talked, and this just occurred to me. I do think that you should always either have a teacher or be a teacher. And when I say that, I mean in the metaphorical teacher as far as showing you where to look. And I'll try to explain that in a minute. So I think this subject is going to be a little tough for someone to understand that's never been in this situation. And the more I try to do this video, the more I realize this is a very complicated conversation that I'm finding out I could go on and on about. Growing up, I did not have a lot of examples in my life, good or bad. I just didn't have a lot of examples. I didn't get exposed to a lot of different professions. We lived in a very similar, we lived in a circle with people very similar to ourselves. So growing up, I didn't know everything you could be. And I don't know if that makes sense, but basically I knew as a kid, I knew there were the jobs of teacher, policeman, fireman, and army man. That was the other one. I didn't get exposed to, I mean, I knew there were other jobs. I couldn't have told you what they were called. I couldn't have told you how to get them, whether I liked them. I didn't have anybody showing me, like, hey, this is what a doctor does, and this is what they call it. No, not to mention that there's not only doctors, but there's different kinds of doctors. You know, because even that, I knew there were doctors. It never occurred to me that I could be one, and that's the other conversation that we probably need to have, is helping people get over their limiting beliefs. But I didn't even know, like, I knew there was a doctor. I didn't know there was now that I've done healthcare management, I didn't know there was a pediatrician and a pulmonologist and an internal medicine. I didn't know that existed. And the problem I had is that didn't just stop when I chose one of my basically 4 things and became an army man. Like when I joined the army, I didn't know there were all those jobs you could do in the army. I didn't know you could, like, I knew infantrymen because my stepfather was special forces. I didn't know you could, I mean, I knew MP, infantryman, cook, mechanic, that kind of thing. I didn't know there were hundreds of jobs to choose from, and I'm not sure whose responsibility it was to tell me there were all those jobs, but I didn't have a teacher, both growing up and when I got in the military. It didn't occur to me, like, I didn't find out the more I got out in the world and this is the point that's just occurring to me, the more I realized of how much world there was. I would go places and think, oh, I mean, I would literally remember, and I still have that problem today, thinking, I didn't know that was a job. I didn't know that was a job. All right, I knew that was kind of a job, but I didn't know how you got that job. And I was having that even in the military, as I would, run into people, I'd be like, that's a job, especially that's a job in the Army. And I'm hurrying through this because I could go on and on about all the points that I'm making as we do this. So as I've made the leap into the creative life, I know that there was a photographer, and I know that there was people that filmed things, but I didn't know there was product photography and food photography and portrait photography. I didn't know those existed. And the one thing I have found out is, as people get older, it's a little tougher to find teachers than it used to be. You basically have to become your own teacher, and that's something I want to talk about in a minute, about becoming a teacher, because I don't think we have enough teachers in the world. So I'm still running into that now, as that idea that, somewhere along the way I became lucky enough to realize that I could do anything. But the problem I have is I don't still know what anything is, or what anything can be. If you don't know the list that you have to choose from, how do you choose off that list? I remember, and I'm going backtracking a little bit, but like I said, when I was in the military, I found out there were different jobs in the military you could have that I didn't know, and I thought, hell, I would have signed up for that, or I would have done that. And also, the one that always jumps out at me is when I was in college, I found myself attracted to a lot of the psychology courses, and somewhere along the way, I found out there was a thing called an organizational psychologist. The more I found out about that job, the more I'm like, I would love to be that. Don't get me wrong, I still could do it. I know I can do anything. I found out it was a doctorate, and what I don't like to do is go to school. I love to learn. I don't like formal education. But it would have been nice to know somewhere when I was younger that, hey, organizational psychologist is a thing, and this is how you start that. I could have maybe gone through classes earlier and so anyway. And then now, in this world, creative world, I'm having to, every little bit, I'm uncovering something. And it reminds me a little bit of opening a door to a new room. And you're thinking all right, this house has, and I know I'm rambling, by the way, don't get me wrong, but the idea is it's an overwhelming subject to me that I'll probably have to go back and talk about more. But it's like waking up in a house and finding out that house, you wake up in a room in that house and you think, all right, this is a nice room. And there's got to be another room. So you think, okay, there's a door. So I'll open that door. And you get to that room and you think, wow, okay, no, that doesn't make sense. What I'm finding out in life is that it's just, the world is endless. And it's overwhelming for someone that doesn't know even where to start, where to look. Again, don't tell people what to see, but even where to look. As I open more doors, I'm finding out that there are just more rooms, and I wish someone had maybe given me a map, and that maybe could speed up the process. I'm kind of stumbling blindly through the house, if you will, and I wish somebody had given me a map.
So I guess that's maybe a good accidental segue. Is I wish someone had given me a map, a head start, a place to look, an idea of the options that were out there. And that brings me to the point that I've been so awkwardly stumbling to make as I went along, and then I was trying to get to in the first place, is that I would have gone, I'm fairly comfortable that I would have been a lot farther in life had I been exposed to a lot more in life. I'm learning as I go along that I'm so far. I realize the more, it reminds me of that saying, the more I know, the more I realize I don't know. And I wish someone, going back to even being creative, I wish someone had exposed me to a creative world as a child. I didn't even know that was something I was interested in. I didn't know what it felt like. I didn't know what it looked like and what it felt like. And I remember even that as a kid, being attracted to art classes and being told I did things well. But in the way in which they were presented to me in that very limited scope, I thought I didn't like it. I thought I wasn't any good at it. And I wish I'd have had somebody there, You know, even that, like, expose them to a lot of stuff, you know, and help them get farther down the track. Like, don't, you know, even if it's something they don't like, that's one more room they've already been in and they know they don't like it. And, you know, if they show the interest in stuff, encourage them, walk them through the process, make them go spend time in a hospital, or, you know, maybe they'll find out really quick that they don't want to be a doctor, or they didn't know that doctor exists, or maybe they didn't know they wanted to be they thought they didn't want to be a doctor, and then they found out that kind of doctor they would be interested in. But encourage them, expose them, teach them, show them where to look. We just don't have enough of that. And I don't just mean that for children, although I absolutely 100% believe it should be done more. I should have done it more. I should have it done more for me, to me, with me. But also, too, I still, even now, need a teacher. Like, I'm still in this creative world. It's taken me forever to get projects off the ground because I'll get through stuff and realize, like, oh, I didn't know that was a thing. I didn't know we could do that. I didn't know it was done that way. I didn't know. So I do think it boils down to the fact that you should, well, maybe it's both. Maybe I hadn't thought about that till just now. Maybe you should always, at first I'd said maybe you either need to be a teacher or have a teacher, but maybe after a certain age especially, you need to always be both. Maybe you need to always be a teacher and have a teacher. I don't think we're ever done learning. I think actually when you think you're done learning, I don't think we're ever done learning. I think thinking you're done learning is a slow death, or a very pompous or naive way to be. And I don't remember, I'll be honest, like I said, I had a bunch of things I was going to say, and I had actually taken the time to make notes for a change, but the conversation I found out is huge, and I'm a lot of thoughts on it, and something that probably needs to be explored more. But I think really it boils down to that. I think kids need more teachers. I think they need to be shown good examples, shown what life has to offer, even if it's, for God's sakes, they don't want to do it. Like, I wish someone had exposed me to more. I wish I knew there was more out there, and that I was capable of more, and then I wish I'd have failed more often as a kid. I wish I'd have gone into jobs and thought, you know what, this job sucks, I don't ever want to do that. That job sucks, I didn't want to do that. I wish, you know, and I know it's a little sad, but it's true. I wish somebody asked me what I wanted to do when I grew up, and if I didn't have an answer, maybe they did, and I didn't have an answer. I wish they'd have kept pushing until I had that answer, and I wish I'd have let my decisions be based on that. You know, I hear a lot of people start off as something and then change their mind, but isn't that better than either not starting or never changing your mind? And I know this has rambled on a bit, and it's not at all what I thought it was going to be, but it's a really complex subject in my head that has a lot of caveats to it. But basically, I think it boils down to that. I think you should always, either, well, I think you should always be a teacher and have a teacher, and I think you should always, yeah. So anyway, I know this has rambled on a bit. I'm not even sure I'm going to post it. If nothing else, I got to check out the microphones. And if you're curious at all, let me know if you're curious at all, feel free to ask, and I'll let you know what the microphones were. Because the one especially, the new one, is some ones I saw reviews on. And forgive me, first time I've ever set it up. Maybe it's too far away, but I've heard good reviews on this, and a fairly, I forget what I said wrong, economical solution. Anyway, so I hope this helped somebody. I hope it got you thinking, at least. I guess really that's the point of my videos, is I hope they get you thinking. So anyway.
Alexander Tinfor has a quote, or I guess at one point, Alexander Tinfor, there's a quote attributed to Alexander Tinfor, who says, "The best teachers don't show you where to look." Damn it. It's more about where showing people where to look, and not just. There'll be a real hard stop in some of that, but there'll probably be other. I think it'll be obvious as I go through, as I'm explaining that I used it 2 videos ago. Wow, really? So I think there are. So, like I said, one of the examples I knew was. Wow, this is really rambling. This thought just occurred to me that so it struck me that when I was growing up, I had that conversation out. The point I'm trying to make, though, is like my first. So the point I'm trying.